I'm gonna summarize this shit. The car's stolen, nothing's missing except the one thing. I mean, if the whole entire car was stolen, it could have been a sight bit worse. But everything seemed to be in place. I haven't noticed anything missing except the trip permit. The one I have now expires in 2 days. And then after that, I can't drive that car legally anywhere. So this trip seems to be over. Bit of a bummer. It's a bummer, man. It's a bit of a drag, but we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. We never know until it's all over how it all ends. So I'm in Port Arthur, USA, but strangely enough, you can only get here by going across the Canadian border and then back into the USA. It's like this little peninsula that hangs off the end of Canada. I'm out here riding my bike. I just bought this bike in Portland, and here goes nothing. Riding it out here. Funny, these trails are probably like the babiest of the baby trails you can get in this part of the world. But for me, they ain't nothing to sneeze at. There's nothing. After you cross the Canadian border, it's about 35-40 minute drive to Point Roberts, which is America's best kept secret. I would have never guessed this place was out there, but it was so nice and peaceful. I ended up staying with two super awesome girls, Heather and Laura. Let me give them a shout out right now. They were just the greatest hosts. While I was out there riding the bike, I got into a mean patch of stinging nettle that had my whole arm burning up. I know they say we have this in Florida, but I've never gotten into it before as much as I've been in the woods. And luckily so, that stuff is not nice, real mean. This town has such an island vibe. We went to go get a beer from the bar and everybody was playing bingo. Heather's like, when did we start playing bingo? And they're like, today. It's kind of fun. They had these great dogs. There's Toby, and over here is Bonnie, and they were just sweet old dogs. We had a good time, me and Heather hanging out, drinking lots of Tawny Porto, coming up with solutions for all the problems of the world. Somehow we couldn't remember them all the next morning though. So the next day was the 4th of July. Laura, who had been going on a fishing trip the whole time, came back, and we ended up going to a nice barbecue and having a good time. I got to meet a lot of their friends who were super welcoming, so nice. 4th of July, I'm wearing a sweater. You can't say that in Florida too often. Happy 4th of July, y'all.
Happy 4th of July! Happy 4th of July!
Happy 4th. So, chilling here in Point Roberts, sorry. It's part of the U.S., but we're not, saying where. Because the witness relocation program protection.
Yeah, don't mention my name.
But I just got, this is a new one on me, an edible flower. What's it called again?
Nasturtium.
A nasturtium. And apparently it's very delicious, so I'm getting to be honored to try something like this.
Show the drink.
Alright, I'm gonna try this thing. Yeah. It's tasty.
They're spicy.
Yeah. What can I say? This is just one of those days when everything just seems right. You get treated to the hospitality of strangers, and they treat you like you're a long lost friend. I couldn't say thank you enough to these guys for the way they treated me. Came back to the house, drank another bottle of 10-year-old port, and then I said goodbye to Laura and Heather. Just before I left, I went down to the beach one more time just to take in the serenity before I made my way out to the big city. So I get to Vancouver about midday, and I was really impressed with all the architecture. It was a sort of strange, futuristic, dystopian vibe going, but in a very cool way. I went to the hostel called American Backpacker Hostel, checked in, then I went out and started exploring the town. So just got to Vancouver, and it's pretty dope. Just checked into my hostel, and everything is going pretty good. That's how you know you're like a major metropolitan area. You can get fucking rapier lessons, and that's pretty cool. So I wandered around for a while, stopped in a bar, had a beer, get back to the hostel, and I'm laying up in my bedroom, and I had a feeling like I should go and check on my car. I come down to the parking lot, no car, just a bunch of broken glass, and I was pretty much convinced that the car had been stolen. So I was trying to figure out what to do next. I couldn't call 911. I didn't have an international plan on my phone yet at the time. But then a young guy pulls up and offers to call the tow truck that he knows works this area. He does. Turns out they do have my car, and then he offers to drive me over to the impound. So I go with him over to the impound. Sure enough, they have the car, and it was broken into, but nothing was stolen. So it doesn't look like it was necessarily stolen, but somebody broke into it to steal shit out of it, and the cops had to tow it when they found it like that. So let's see what happens next. What's up, world? So what happens next is a little hard to explain. All I'll say is me and the guy who took me to the impound ended up going to this all-night rave, and 3 letters were involved: D, M, and T. So the next day I went straight to the impound and got my car out. They almost wouldn't give it to me because, like I said, my trip permit got stolen. And the trip permit is essentially a temporary registration. Without it, I had no proof that the car was actually mine. The guy kind of bent the rules and gave it to me. I never really understood why the cops had it towed. I guess that's just their policy. If they see a car broken into, maybe it makes sense. I don't really know. It could have been helpful, it could have been hurtful. I'm not really sure. It cost me $180, I know that much. So this is just sort of cute. Like, this is the place where they teach you how to fight with a rapier. And there's people dancing inside, but there's like a crowd of people watching. There's people watching from the street. I like that. That's like pretty poetically beautiful to a country boy like me. So the next day, I hear all this rockin' music going down. It was probably around 2 o'clock in the afternoon or something like that. Anyway, I come downstairs and I see all my hostel mates having a good old little daytime party. It was the weekend after all. So I said, what the hell, and joined in, sing along with them. There were people there from Ukraine, Germany, Japan, all over the world. Ireland, Mexico, and it was a ball. I love that kind of stuff. You want to tell the people back home what you're doing?
I'm sharpening a knife.
That's a new one on me. I never saw that. Very cool. So I should probably not be doing this when I'm walking with all these hostile fools to a bar, and we're gonna drink beer there. We want to watch soccer. For now, this is kind of fun. So, trying to live it up. So I wasn't really feeling that whole soccer crowd. I swerved that and ended up going to like a small divey bar where I met a guy that ended up setting me up with a wall. That bald guy right there, his name's Tristan. And I hung out, also met the homie Mario. We ended up painting later. And hanging out with these crazy hostel guys was a lot of fun. Earlier I'd stepped to the manager about painting something in my room, and he said no. But I knew that they would like it, and sure enough, I painted anyway. And when I came back a couple days later, they told me they liked it. So all's well that ends well. Y'all know that's my motto. Well, that and eat, sleep, hustle. Anyway, that's gonna do it for this video. Next time we'll still be in Vancouver. I had enough footage to shoot 2 whole videos there. Like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you next time.